Hello, welcome back to Ricecast. I'm your host Louis. I wasn't here last time, I'm here this time. Today we're talking about archetypes in anime. And the first one we're going to talk about today is unemotive characters, sometimes Ikemen or Kudere. Naren, start us off.
Before that, we have to define Ikemen and Kudere
thanks,
because Louis didn't even know the meaning of those words, and he still doesn't because we decided we just weren't going to explain it to him before we started the podcast. Okay,
cool.
So I don't really know what a Kudere is that well, but I can explain Ikemen, which is basically just like a good-looking guy.
It's a combination of cool and dare.
Oh.
It literally is.
Thanks, Rahan.
Because she's cool and she's also there.
Thanks, Rahan. Always
You're
there
welcome.
to support.
Thanks,
Dare
Rohan.
means cute. Yeah, that's why everything has dare after it.
Thanks, Rohan.
Tell you what, I think
Like
Rohan should do a solo episode for Traps. Oh well.
Hey, Traps is not PC, people. Keep it PC.
PC?
Well, how is that not PC?
Traps are very PC. Zubin, shut up.
Dude, Traps
Traps
not
are
being
super
PC
PC.
is so dumb.
Alright.
It's so stupid.
No,
it's such
but-
a
okay,
dumb
fine, you
argument.
can
Let's
save
get
that,
to
but,
that
like,
when we
it's
get to
been
Traps.
reclaimed,
Okay,
but it's
off
like saying
topic,
the
off
N-word if you're
topic.
not...
Okay. Naren, you want to kick us off with some examples?
Alright, so like one of the first examples that came to mind was Mob from Mob Psycho, right? And the whole point with this character is he has trouble showing his emotions, and that becomes the whole point of the show, which is why, you know, when people criticize Mob for being a boring main character, I don't really get it. They miss the point of the show.
I mean, on one hand, it's true, but on the second hand, he does get quite boring. Like, everybody's favorite part of Mob Psycho is one, the fight scenes, and two, Reagan. Mob
basically.
isn't even in the top
I
5.
disagree with that.
But like,
I mean, I don't think he's not in the
some
top
people
5.
like Mob better.
I think people just like him because he's an OP character.
But, like, they don't like his character itself. They like more his actions or maybe his design. They don't really
Design.
like what he says or his personality.
Mob won like the latest Best Boy.
I think it's pretty interesting how he kind of gets pushed around by Reagan at the start, but then as we move into the second season, he starts to grow a mind of his own and he wants to move away from Reagan and like do his own stuff.
And then Reagan eventually develops into a father figure kind of thing. Well, he was more of like a manipulative
He was
mentor.
kind of a father figure from the beginning.
Yeah, but he was more like a bad father figure at the beginning, and then he kind of develops into a better father figure. Not necessarily a good one, but a better one than he was before. He doesn't have good intentions, but he ends up being good to Mob anyway, and like taking care of him.
Got any other examples now?
I have an example. I think a bad example. And leading into kind of like the Ikemen thing is Shoto Todoroki from My Hero Academia. Sometimes I feel like the whole Ikemen thing is used as an excuse for a character having no actual personality traits. Because, like, Shoto's only personality trait is that he's pretty.
I mean, they
that's,
try
like,
and give him an
he's
arc with, like, an
rich.
abusive father
And
and
he's
everything,
cool.
but it doesn't really work.
What? That part works so well.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, it doesn't really work because he has no, or it works and doesn't work at the same time. It's like, he has no emotions, and we can understand why he got there because he's been raised in an environment where he's been taught not to display emotions, but also he never really shows, or at least so far, we've never really seen any cracks in that facade, even by himself. And like, I feel like he's just such a bland character, and he doesn't really go anywhere, and he just kind of, I don't know, he's just Shoto.
Guys.
I mean, like,
did
he
you
works for
guys
a tournament
not
arc.
watch the show? I think the one time where he does do the crack in the facade is the Todoroki versus Deku fight, where the part where he finally uses his fire.
Yeah, but he goes back after, so it literally doesn't matter.
Yeah, he goes back to being kind of like,
the problem with him is that, you know, after that part, he's just kind of doesn't go anywhere with it, you know. But I think during the arc, it's super good.
I mean, yeah, the arc showed that he had potential as a character and as a person, but it's like, are they going to do anything about that? And
No.
is it going to go anywhere?
Yeah, at that point, I kind of wish they kept Todoroki in the background and just had him develop on his own. Instead of being basically a main character.
Alright, so one of the most famous like kuderas is Rei, right?
Oh,
From
yeah.
Evangelion.
I suppose, yeah, but like...
Wait, Ray?
Yeah, she's like the standard.
But
I haven't watched
wouldn't
that.
say
Everyone
Ray,
else have
but-
it, right? Like you can almost say she's like the start.
I think Ray is an example for me of one that effectively is just boring.
She never says anything. She never has any.
Because I don't
story.
think
It's
Ray
just
Ray being
kind of
that
like
way
a
does
waste.
anything, does much for themes and stuff. I think the one time was like that part where Shinji saw Rei talking to his dad and Rei was smiling. That was like the one time Rei had any character at all.
You just have to watch a bunch of NGE analysis on YouTube and you'll understand.
But the show shouldn't need analysis to be good.
I mean, maybe for small brain people like me.
But no, it's the show's fault if you don't understand something. They should have made Rei.
I think we should move on to the second point, the second archetype. Oh, sorry.
Wait, also I just wanted to mention that Violet is like Mob. If you're questionable about Mob, I think Violet is more of a streamlined version of Mob.
Okay, I'm gonna bring us back, and I'm gonna move us on to the second archetype of assholes who are popular.
Okay, Bakugo is the single worst character in anime that I have seen outside of trash. Like in popular anime, Bakugo like
Did you just say
infuriates
outside
me.
of traps? What?
Outside of like a low tire bait like Inception, like in a popular anime, like Bakugo is by far the worst character that I've seen. Like one, he's way too dark for a lighthearted series. Like his
He's
bullying, his violence.
There's literally a league of villains.
How is that?
with a person with murderers. Like,
Yeah, but like in the early season, like My Hero Academia is supposed to be a lighthearted semi-comedy about like learning to be a hero in like a lighthearted act.
he's not that dark. He's just angry.
He's
all
just
the
He's
angry
time.
for
more
no
like
reason.
I think he's supposed to be kind of like an opponent to Deku though. My main issue with like having all these asshole characters is like when the author decides, oh, but they're also gonna be cute and they're also gonna be the kind of characters who are like lovable and we're all just gonna like completely ignore their abusive behavior and we're all just
Just
gonna love
because
them.
Yeah, I
they're
think that's
hot
just
doesn't
you.
mean they're
I
lovable,
think that's just you.
Gabby.
I mean, I think there's a difference, there's a dissonance between the fan reaction and how you feel about a character.
Whoa.
Just because I think Bakugo might be a good character doesn't mean I
But
like
like,
him.
but like the
That's
fandom
fair.
loves him. Like if you go to the subreddits, any post discussing Bakugo, everybody says we love him. Lots of stupid memes, and like any
Because everyone makes him gay.
It's like Jotaro, right?
that's for another episode. That's for another episode. Okay, back to the point. Yeah.
What
So
point?
he's physically violent towards Deku. Like the way he beats him. Like he could have easily killed Deku. He could easily kill anybody around him with like zero difficulty.
I
And
think
yet
Zubin
no.
is more concerned about Bakugo as a public health threat than Bakugo as a character.
Okay, and like even his character. Like, can you name me one good sentence from Bakugo? One
King
quotable sentence.
explosion.
Any memory from Deku?
What? Can you, anybody remember one more than one word sentence from Bakugo? You can
I mean, who
remember.
remember
Can you
quotes
name
though?
one
Like
from
that's just
Deku?
Yeah, I can't remember.
I can't remember
individual
anything that
quotes,
anyone
I can
said,
remember
like, that's-
ideas.
yeah. What did you just say? I forgot already.
His entire motivation is contrived. He wants to be the most powerful. Oh wow, original.
That's literally the point of
How is that
everyone.
contrived? That's everybody's goal.
Is it?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, well, it's most people. It's not everyone's
Is
goal.
it? It
It's a
really
lot of
is?
people's
Okay.
goals,
It's
but
most of.
Do you want to become the most powerful? Oh,
in the
okay.
show.
Okay,
not
Who,
in
who in the
real
show
life.
has that goal?
I don't
Oh, who
mean
in that show
everybody.
has that goal? Deku doesn't want to be the most powerful. He wants to be a hero. Todoroki.
Shoto definitely doesn't want to be the most
He wants
powerful.
to
He
be
wants
the
to be
number
number
one.
2 so he can piss his dad off.
Did you want to speak about anything else, Gabby?
It's about Haikyuu. So Kageyama at first has no idea like how to show affection or appreciation to anyone, and you can see like in the first episode he yells at all his middle school teammates and they call him like the king of the court because he just bosses people around. But as the story develops, he kind of like he's still an asshole, but he kind of learns more to be a team player and like he doesn't make a complete flip because obviously that would be unrealistic, but I think he's a really good example of like a character who's an asshole but is still a good character because like I don't know, you kind of see him starting to develop out of being an asshole, but he doesn't like unrealistically make a sudden flip to not being an asshole anymore.
Well, I would say the same about Bakugo.
No.
Bakugo is always an asshole.
He's just an asshole. He's no development at all.
We have-
He's what? At the end of season 1, he friggin' stops being a jerk all the time.
Yeah, and then the
Yes.
rest of the other
He literally
seasons.
becomes like the emo mellow character after season 1. Or after his fight with Deku in season 1, I mean. He's still mean, but he's a lot more mellow and tamed.
He's
a
not
lot
more mellow,
like,
he's just more-
restrained.
He's just more quiet. Have any of you seen Berserker?
No.
No.
You mean Berserk or Berserker?
Basaka.
Bazaka.
Bazooka.
Yeah, Berserk.
Yeah, I read the manga. Yeah.
Bazooka.
I think Griffith's another asshole character that's really popular for some reason.
He's an asshole.
He's a huge asshole.
He's not really an asshole. Like he doesn't. He just is very angry because, he got wrecked before.
He literally sexually assaults people.
Oh fuck.
Oh, Griffith.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, it's justified, right? Like,
Rohan trying to justify rape here.
I'm trying to not spoil anything, guys. Because Berserk spoilers are really bad.
But he tried. What's your argument?
What?
He's justified in trying to sexually assault people.
I mean, he was possessed by a demon.
When did you get that from anything he said?
That's what he literally said. I said he sexually assaults people. Wrong said, yeah, but he's justified.
He's possessed by a demon, so like, come on, that's the demon doing stuff. It's not him.
That's a classic excuse. That's what Baidu says.
Oh my
It's
god.
used by who? What?
It's like when you go to
Yes,
court.
by people in real life.
Yeah.
You pull up at the
Oh.
police station like I didn't hit her, it was the demon inside me.
Yeah. The devil made me do it.
Time for me to shill Sangatsu no Lion again.
Oh god.
Oh no.
I wanted to
Alright.
talk
Is there an
about
asshole?
yeah, the closest thing to an antagonist that March Comes into the Lion ever gets is Goto. And I think he's great because I think what makes him really good is that he's a vehicle for Rei's development, since early on he's more of the person to try and look for one singular thing to blame. And then in that way they really exaggerate Goto's monstrous features. But then as the show goes on, like in early season 2, then you realize, he's not so bad. And there's a whole thing about his motivations that's really nice that I won't spoil.
Now I'll be able to move it on to the next point.
Speaking
'cause
of
everyone's stopped
Sangatsu-
talking for a
Wait,
minute.
actually, I had something else to say.
Naren!
No,
Just
no, you
kidding.
don't get
I'm
anything
just
else.
kidding.
Alright, third archetype, we got depression. Basically, depresso espresso. What do we got?
I was gonna talk about Kosei from Your Lie in April. His depression makes sense, and I think the way that it manifests itself in like him quitting playing the piano is like cool and all, but it's really unrealistic the way that Kaori just kind of like shows up in his life and is like, play the piano again, and he's like, okay. I just don't think that's a good and realistic depiction
a lot of it is contrived.
Yeah.
Wasn't his depression derived from his mother?
It came from his mom dying, but like, how is it supposed to be that like another woman shows up in your life and is like, play the piano, and he's like, okay?
Maybe he had mommy issues. Who knows?
That makes no sense.
I think another thing is that there's really no reason for him to go back to the piano, and his depression only really manifests when he's doing that. Compared to like Rei from March Comes in Like a Lion, his livelihood is on the line when he plays shogi, but then Kosei really doesn't have any reason to go back, so it just feels contrived.
I think also he kind of goes back because he likes to play the piano, but also you don't just like stop liking things and then suddenly start liking things again. Like,
Why not?
You don't just like suddenly start
He's
liking
just a
things again
moody
because this
teenager.
violent
I think
playing girl shows
he
up in your
did
life.
have an inciting moment when Karu was playing the accordion and then the violin, and he was like, oh, I like music again.
Yeah, I think you're like simplifying it, but I can't remember the specifics though.
So I don't think we're simplifying it that much.
I think
It's
it
a
really
pretty
just
simplistic
is,
show.
Like, it really is like he is depressed, and then Kaori's like, play the piano, and he's like, okay, I'll play it again, and then that's the show.
Mm, yeah.
Basically, in one summary, it's just depressed Chopin.
See, honestly, I'm not even convinced that he's depressed.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's
Because a lot
the
of his
other thing.
actions are just kind of like normal. If anything, he has more anxiety.
I feel like it doesn't depict an actual representation of depression as like opposed to March Comes in Like a Lion, because it's more that he's like frustrated and angry at things that have happened. It's more that he hasn't reached like the depressive stage of his grief yet, and it kind of feels like it's depicting like a part before depression that is poorly passed off as depression, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about Rei from Sangatsu. The thing about Rei that I like is that, the cause for his depression completely manifests in his actions. Like how he was depressed because he felt like he was tearing that family apart, right? So that's why he decided to live on his own and then never try to connect with anybody. And then the other thing I like is that when he tries to improve, he does it really slowly and like it's executed really well.
All right. Dark Past and now Scarred for Life, which is kind of similar to Depresso Espresso, but I guess if you want to speak about anyone specifically, you can.
I'm gonna say the most poorly executed character with an incredibly dark past is probably Sasuke from Naruto.
This is gonna repeat from last
No,
episode.
It's not about Sakura, it's more about like Sasuke, and like my point now is gonna be more about Sasuke and Naruto and like Sasuke's relationship with the village, because like I said in the last episode, he threatens to destroy it several times. And everyone just takes him back immediately and is like, yeah, that's okay, it's fine,
that's
everything's
the whole
fine
point
now.
of the show. Naruto has to erase all the hatred in the world. That's why you can't punish what bad people do after they like regret it. Like he lost an arm, that's pretty good, right?
Rohan constantly sounds like he just smoked a huge blunt and it has no idea what we're talking about.
No.
Alright, what are we talking about?
Why don't we talk about like a Full Metal Alchemist? Like we're talking about like characters cured by a background, but like that's the whole point of the show. And I think every character in that show has a dark background.
I mean, if you're talking about Scarred for Life, we've got Alphonse.
Oh my
Literally a
god.
robot now.
I think both of the Elric brothers are both figuratively and literally scarred for life.
Alphonse more literally.
And like the
than-
whole quest is stop being scarred.
I mean, yeah, like, Alphonse is kind of like a whole pseudo-metal
He kind
now.
of lives on his scar.
Yeah, sometimes.
And like, but like Elric also loses the other Alphonse and Edward. Edward also loses his arms and legs.
Okay, this conversation isn't about being figuratively scarred for life.
Well, I would say that physical scars, if you get PTSD from it, scars you for life.
And the reason they became physically scarred is because they were mentally scarred from losing their father and mother.
And then they resurrected it, and it was like all winter shit.
We can speak a bit more on Dark Past, because I thought about Kurapika from Hunter x Hunter, you know, as opposed to Sasuke, right? Wait, actually, I don't think I should say it, because Gabby hasn't seen it yet. Oh, wait, we'll wait for the Hunter x Hunter episode. It's not like, I mean, it's not a spoiler, but she won't really get it.
Okay, well then just go for it. You can just say it.
I'm just zoning you out anyway, so it's fine.
Thanks, Louis. I appreciate you.
Just close your eyes.
How much weed are you on?
How do you even get?
Contrary to
how do you even
popular
get your
belief,
supplies?
people can actually have a thing called comedy, Gabby. Welcome
Yeah,
to the
Gabby.
world.
Wow, Louis thinks I'm funny. Thanks. I don't even think I'm
someone
funny.
thinks Rohan is funny.
Not even close.
So, like, you know, he's similar to Sasuke in that he's fixated in his past, right? Even though that's he's fixated on it, but early on in the story, he's not completely been, like, controlled by it. Like, in the first few episodes, he sacrifices a chance at being a hunter because he's interested in following Gon, for example.
Oh, he's basically Sasuke before he left the village.
Okay, so number 8 now. Super talented sports prodigy. Or just prodigies in general.
I mean, they're pretty common in anime. Like, if you look at Steins Gate, like, all the characters, well, all 3 of them are prodigies. Like,
Is Steins
great-
Gate... a s-
In sports?
it says prodigy. It says
sports.
It said it didn't have to be sports.
This is specifically about sports.
I said
Okay.
I
It's
put
inherent.
sports in brackets for a reason.
It's
Sorry.
inherent to the
I mean,
archetype.
competitive hacking is technically a sport. But it's like I said, like maybe sports prodigies are a bit uncommon. I don't really watch sports anime, so I can't really judge. But like intellectual prodigies are like super common in like normal anime. Steins Gate, Death Note, both Light, Yagami, and another guy is Dr. Stone. I mean, yeah. In fact, like if you want to look at it broader, I think isekai as a genre is pushing back against this prodigy inspired protagonist. Like they wanted normal people as protagonists. I think that's why isekai became popular, because people were sick and tired of the protagonist being
Well,
prodigies.
see, you
which
say
kept
that, but
small.
then you also get the other isekais which also have OP characters too, so...
Yeah, but like they're OP, but they aren't prodigies. They're the OP in something that doesn't exist in the real world, or for like.
Like they're just
Yeah,
super
they're
powerful, I
OP in a way that people can feel like they're OP they could be OP in the same way.
Yeah,
But,
like everyone
rather
can
than
be the same as
intelligence.
Ainz or Gao.
So they're just really super good at games. Yeah. Because weebs
Mhm.
are good at games.
Yeah, that
Okay.
makes sense.
See, I don't really see the problem with super intelligent characters because I'd rather have the story be surrounding a super intelligent character than a completely bumbling generic.
True.
But the thing is, it's hard to write
intelligence one.
You see, the thing, it's hard to write a super intelligent character, so most authors just make like a normal character and then make everybody else idiots to make the normal character seem super intelligent.
Well, then it just doesn't work.
Well, the other way they do that is bring that into another world, which is easier. Rather than saying everyone's stupid, just say the whole world is stupid.
I think my biggest problem with having prodigies is, and why I put sports in brackets in the notes, is probably because like it pisses me off a lot when there are like super talented prodigies who aren't really explained well. Because like, for example, my biggest problem with Kuroko is that the entire generation of miracles just has like superpowers and there's like no real explanation and no one really grinds except for Kisei. Like no one has to grind. So I think one of the things that like I appreciate the most about sports anime is probably when there's a character who actually has to like put in effort and is like a normal person who has to work hard to be good at what they want to be good at. So like Yuri from Yuri on Ice and Suga from Haikyuu. Suga's entire character arc depicts a really common struggle, like with especially when you play sports, which is like being replaced by younger, better people. Because when Kageyama comes to the team, everyone calls him a genius, and Suga was playing setter for the last 2 years, and he basically gets kicked off the A team into the B team because Kageyama shows up, and he's just like naturally talented. So even though Kageyama doesn't work well with people, he doesn't have to work too hard to be talented to be good at what he's good at. Suga still gets kicked off and replaced by him. So I think that depicts a pretty realistic struggle.
I think the unrealisticness of Kuroko is one of its selling points. Like, there's realistic basketball anime, like Slam Dunk, that's one of them. Like, it's popular too, but...
Wait, I just want to be clear here. Are the superpowers in Kuroko, like, metaphorical?
They're
like they're not actually
but they're like
superpowers?
They're metaphorical, but the players are like OP to the point where they might as well just be superpowers.
Alright, yeah, no, they dunk from the 3-point line, make
they might as well like
shots.
just attend UA at this
from
point.
The 3-point line.
Literally can force someone to get ankle broken because of that, and copies one the other guy's move. Basically.
And
yeah.
then there's like Daiki's just like speed.
Context for listeners, Rohang is a professional level basketball player.
What?
He has won multiple Grand Nationals.
Yes, I'm sure those exist.
That's not even a thing.
Basketball Grand National, yes.
Why not? Anyway, sorry, continue. I just had to clarify that Rohan was the best basketball player ever.
Does shogi count as a sport?
Yes.
Okay, then
Yes.
I think probably like Ray from Arts Comes Like a Lion is probably the best handling of prodigies I've seen in an anime.
I think
Like-
so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Naren loves
Okay.
this episode because we give Sangatsu so much praise.
Are we gonna
During
sell
the
merch?
episode? I think this episode was more focused than last time.
I wonder
so I think
if
Gabby,
you had an actual
That's not
post.
saying much.
It's weird.
she'll probably have an easier time. Or
I'll have an easier time not cutting out all the shit that Avik says.
yeah.
Hey, that's your fault for cutting him off in the first place.
Yikes.
What should I have done? Like, let him ramble about how
Yes.
women are biologically programmed to take
Yes.
care of children?
Yes, you should have done that. That would be great.
I mean, he has a point.
Whoa.
Okay, I think we're
Whoa.
gonna stop there. Okay, thank you for listening to Ricecast. This has been a pleasure, not.